right, so I'm here with Hill at the Hill campus.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
This is Haley. It's okay. Do you all want to just introduce yourself really quickly with just your name and like what classroom you serve, like what grade you serve?
So I'm Timothy Kurtz. I'm a proud AmeriCorps member serving here at Hill. I'm in the Success Factory helping with detentions, tutoring, and whatnot.
I'm Josie. I'm in 8th grade math.
I'm Allison. I'm in 6th and 7th grade math.
Sarah, 7th grade math.
Emily, 6th grade math.
Cool. And we're here to talk about housing. So I know this is something people have been asking lots of questions about. Can you just start off with like any basic tips you have before we jump into your individual situations? And if Josie wants to kick us off, she can. But
Yeah,
you don't
one
have
of
to.
the, I feel like I was so, that was like the biggest stressor for me moving out here. And like, I had minimal issues finding housing. So like, I know people are always like, Denver's a really tough place to find a place to live. But I mean, speaking from my own experience, I had no issues and like found housing and signed a lease within 2 weeks of starting looking and finding a roommate. So just not to stress about it, and it's exciting and you're gonna love wherever you end up. Oh, fingers crossed.
That's what most people said
Yeah.
in the survey.
Yeah.
Like the overall average score for like people liking their housing was higher this year than last year. So there weren't a lot of like low scores.
Yeah.
Most people liked where they were no matter where they were. And then did you find your roommate in the Facebook group, or are you rooming with someone else?
Yeah, no, I found my roommate in the Facebook group, and I've loved living with somebody from city here. We just like get along so well, and she reached out to me, and then kind of over the course of a couple of days, a couple of people, so it wasn't like I was only hearing from one person. I heard from probably 5 or 6 people from the Corps this year about potentially living together. And so her and I live in a 2-bedroom, 1-bath in the Highlands, which is awesome.
And then like what website did you use, or what websites did any of you use to find housing?
So I used Facebook, but there's a few like housing Facebook groups. So I found my roommates on Denver Area Creative Housing.
Okay.
And
that
just,
one's on the website, so yes.
Awesome. Yeah, it's really great. I just I saw other people posting it, so I just posted like my name, some basic information, and like my budget, and then people reached out to me on like where they lived, the price of rent, and then I went from there.
Cool.
I used all the websites that were given to like find people, but it just didn't work out for me, so I had to wait actually until I got here, and then I found roommates within the Corps from there. So yeah, housing in general was a very stressful time for me, but once I got here, it kind of all just fell into place. So I would really say don't stress, because I stress myself out way too much. Way too much.
Yeah, we're going to try to help people as much as we can when there's like a quick turnaround time.
Yeah.
And I mentioned the commuting for Emily, but you also commute a decent ways, right?
Yeah.
So both of you do.
Yep.
I guess, do you want to talk
yeah.
a little bit about that right now?
So I live with my cousins and family, like in Castle Rock, which is on a good day, no traffic, 30 minutes. After we get let out, it can be up to an hour and a half, which is really rough. But yeah, if you want to get
rush hour.
Yeah, it's
whereas you
rush
beat
hour.
rush hour on the way to school, right?
Yeah, I get here. It is really weird. Like if I leave within a 10-minute range of like 6, it can set me either getting here a half hour early or getting here a half hour late.
Yeah.
Like it is very, Denver traffic is something that like took a lot for me to get used to, because it's like only 20 miles away, but again, an hour and a half at night if I go at the right time, which is something I was not used to and not really prepared for. But
just so people know where you're from, where were you moving from?
I moved from Wisconsin, where
it's different.
Yeah, it's different type of traffic. Different type of traffic some places. But yeah, like, so getting used to that and having to pay for gas was a big part of that in comparison. Like, I pay cheap rent compared to a lot of people, but having to pay
more.
Gas definitely adds up. It evens out about.
do you have anything about your commute that, I mean, would you recommend commuting? What do you think are your tips for like what people should be prepared for?
Personally, I definitely pay cheaper rent. My house is a really, really nice house, and I love my roommates, so I wouldn't trade that for the commute.
Okay.
So personally, I live in Thornton, which is 30 minutes north of here without traffic. So yeah, I definitely wouldn't trade the housing situation for anything. I really enjoy where I live. So the commute, I mean, it's tough sometimes, but I don't mind.
And I think that's what most people say, and there's not like a right or wrong answer. It's you have to ask yourself those questions, like what's important to me? Like, do I want to stay in a nicer, bigger place, but maybe be farther, or am I okay with like a smaller place that's maybe older but closer to downtown?
You definitely like have to factor in some of the weather. Like that was one thing that
the snow
was pretty bad, was like having to drive that commute in weather. Like
just so people know, we had a couple snow days, and it's been on the ground a lot more this year than usual.
And like I've been lucky enough to, if sometimes I need to crash at someone's place, like having people in the Corps that are really close to campus, or like, you know, like that's one thing that like kind of sucks being so far out, is you're far away from like everyone going out in the city and stuff. But again, it's what you want to pick for your balance.
Anything else that anybody wanted to chip in on, like websites or where you found your housing?
So I didn't find my housing through Craigslist that I'm currently at, but I'm currently looking at some other places, and Craigslist is a good option if you know how to search and filter out the fake ones.
Yeah.
A big tip for whenever you're looking on Craigslist, make sure you click on multiple images bundled together, because like they'll have some things that are just posted multiple times, and then those are usually fake. If you have anything that has a phone number on the picture and it's just the one picture, fake. Always check and see if it has a phone number associated with the email. That is a much easier way to contact them, and usually if you try to just message them through email, you're not going to get a response. So look for the ones that have a phone number attached.
Nope, those are good tips, thanks. And I think you were still downstairs, I told them I have an article on the website too about like looking for scams, so just people can make sure to check that out as well, so that you know like whether or not something's reliable. And like I found my housing through Craigslist too, but you just gotta be careful. So I guess my next question was more like neighborhoods, if you want to talk about like where you live and maybe what neighborhoods you'd recommend. Like I said, they're all on the website, but I think the biggest thing that I learned from this year's housing survey is that the like most popular neighborhoods are the rent, like the average rent for a Corps member went up, but then our average rent as a whole went down, because there's a lot of other people living kind of spread out throughout the city. So, you know, maybe there's only one or two people in that neighborhood, but they have cheaper rent. So it's not like coming up as a top neighborhood. Those are kind of expensive. So it's, again, one of those trade-offs, like what's important to you. But if you all have neighborhood recommendations that are different than anything I've shared, what might those be?
Can I go first?
Yeah.
So I love my neighborhood. I'm in the Highlands, which is like northwest of I-25, kind of the city. And so it takes me in the morning like 20 minutes to get to work, which is not bad. And so my neighborhood, I pay a little bit more, and my apartment's really little. So I pay like around $700 with a parking spot and utilities for a small apartment. But I love it. Like, it's really trendy and hip. And it definitely came up because I remember seeing it on the site that Brenna shares. And I like remember when I was looking for housing, I used the suggested neighborhoods as like a starting point, but ultimately it came to checking out the places themselves and getting a feel for the actual neighborhoods as being the best way to distinguish housing that I thought was going to be appropriate and fun. So, like I said, I got all these restaurants, I got all these yummy foods, there's an ice cream place I visit at least 3 times a week. So So I love it. And I would pay that much to live in the neighborhood again in the future.
So I live in Westwood. It's near Barnum, and it's in southwest Denver, kind of near Lakewood.
Yeah.
And so it's about a 20-minute drive, like Josie, for me to work, and then like 45 minutes on the way home, depending on traffic. I love it. It's a super. There's just tons of families in my neighborhood. There's some people my age, but definitely lots of kids. It's a very high Mexican population, and there's so much like diversity in our neighborhood. Amazing restaurants, food trucks, like all those things, and it's so fun, like going to like the panaderias and stuff like that. It's just so great. And my rent's about $600 a month, including utilities. So it's great. It's affordable. Not too far from Compass or from Lake Middle School.
Oh, yeah, that's good. And then you talked about yours, and are you still in Westwood?
Yeah, so I'm over in Lakewood, and the duplex that I'm currently staying at, the landlords typically rent out to city-year people. I'm sure that this place is going to be posted in the Facebook group chat again. But I'm currently paying $465 a month, with utilities being about $50 total, as including internet. And there's that duplex, and they also own another duplex that can house 7 people. So that's a great option.
Perfect.
Look for it on the Facebook.
I'm gonna try to share it again. I'm just waiting before, because you all still live there. So once people are ready to move, then we'll
leaving after June.
Yeah. So as soon as one of you can email me, then we'll try to share it out again. So Tim's rent is pretty cheap because it's like an AmeriCorps city year kind of situation where the landlords give a discount. For
The neighborhood's
nonprofit.
pretty good too.
So
Yeah.
cool. Are there any other neighborhoods that like any other people in the core, even if you don't live there, have like recommended? The Highlands comes up a lot. I mean, I love it because I live in Berkeley, but so right by Sunnyside.
I feel like people have, this is me personally, like I've heard about people living in like Rhino and lower downtown Lodo, and that sounds miserable to me, but like if that's your thing and like you're really into big cities and like you're not worried about paying extra, like I have a friend who's in Lodo right now, and he's in a studio, paid like $1,800 a month, and like that's not an affordable option for a lot of us, especially in this program. And also like being downtown is not so fun for me unless I'm like going out or trying to get dinner or something. Like I wouldn't want to live somewhere like that, but that's just me, so I don't know how much that helps.
And that's, the neighborhoods that we would say are probably downtown is like Lodo, Rhino, Cap Hill's close, but it's not downtown. So that's kind of like where like going out stuff is. Yeah, you can chime in.
Hello.
Haley is still here.
I live in Congress Park, which is really like 5 minutes away. I never have an excuse for being late. I just am sometimes. But it's kind of like Cap Hill, except the parking is way better, and it's kind of like a family type of neighborhood. And it's older, so like older apartments and houses. I think it's a nice area too, and you can probably find a 4-bedroom there.
You live right by the Botanic Gardens, which is nice.
I do live right by the Botanic Gardens, yeah. And it's kind of centrally located. It's like not downtown, but you can walk places. It's nice. It's like 2 miles from downtown, so.
Yeah. It's one of the ones on the list because it is pretty popular, so I'm glad you brought it up. But I didn't want to supply these answers because it's
yes.
about
Congress
you.
Park. It's a place. You should live there.
Cool. I'm going to look at my other questions, but if you have other neighborhoods, chime in. Okay. I guess just like the reasonable timeline, like what do you think is a reasonable timeline, or what was your timeline? Like how long did you look before you found a place? Was it a quick turnaround? Did you have your housing solidified or?
Yeah. So I had to move out here within a week. I was supposed to go to a different corps. So luckily I had family here, so I really lucked out with that and being able able to do that. So mine is definitely a little bit different.
So I knew I was doing city year almost a year before I did it, right? So I started looking for housing way too soon, and I was obsessed about it. Like, I need to find a house right now, and I need to, sign that lease for 6 months from now. That doesn't work. So I would say the actual, like, oh, this is like a serious offer, I might try to actually look at this house, was like the last month before I got here. And then even still, like, it's incredibly hard to, like, do anything out here with, like, I can't sign a lease if I'm not here, really.
Yeah.
And I can't look at the apartment if I'm not here. So, like I said, I personally had to wait until I got here. I came here with no housing. Luckily, super supportive city year helped me out, got some temporary housing, and I was able to meet people once I got here. So, the first, like, couple weeks you're here, you're kind of like, where's everybody living? And so I told everybody that I didn't have a house. So a lot of people were like, I have an extra room. So I was offered a lot of spaces during that first couple weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. Haley has a
It's my turn to review. Did you guys sign leases before you moved here? Did most of you just come here and then sign leases afterwards?
I never signed a lease. So like I said, I found my roommates on a Facebook group, and then one of them actually owns the place, and she's a teacher.
Oh, okay.
My other roommate did city year, so they're just like, pretty chill about it. So I didn't sign a lease, but kind of like Sarah, I'd say like about a month out. I came in as a mid-year, so I didn't start until January for service, but I found my housing in like earlier December, mid-December.
I only ask because I know that some leasing agencies and like landlords won't let you sign a lease until you have like toured it and looked at it in person. And like when I moved here, I didn't do that, but I was going to put a plug in for my property management.
Oh, yeah.
Cornerstone.
Oh, yeah, they're on the website.
Yep. They will let you sign a lease without looking at an apartment.
So I found a roommate probably in late May, early June, moving out here in mid-July. So once we had kind of connected on that Facebook, not the Facebook, the spreadsheet, and like done that whole city year stuff, she and her mom ended up traveling out and saw a couple of places, and I was like, do whatever, I don't really care. And so she was the one that ended up signing the lease while she was out here, and we also are in a Cornerstone building. Yay. And so we probably signed a lease 3 weeks before moving out here, which really stressed my parents out. Like, they were kind of in my butt, like, you need to figure this out, like, months in advance. Because in college, we signed leases, like, 9 months before whatever. So I ended up signing a lease, like, 2 or 3 weeks before moving in. And it was because my roommate had the opportunity to come out and see the place and sign it.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, I told you all, but when I found my housing, I looked at it, applied, and was offered it all on the same day.
Right.
And then I moved in like a week and a half later. So it's really hard to do things super early in advance here. Tim's nodding too.
I'd have to agree to that. Like, I started looking for a place about 3 months before I came here in July, and that was way too soon. I was using the Facebook group, but some things changed in that, and I really didn't know where I was living until about 2 weeks before I moved out here. But the Facebook group does work. If you run into a situation like me where the duplex wasn't open by the time that you flew in here, talk to City Year. You can like be set up with one of the mentors' houses for a few days. That's what I did. And
Same.
and then whenever you're ready to move in, just go ahead and move in.
Yeah, that's something, I haven't publicized it for people yet because Claire is going to be helping to work on that this year, so it's not just me, but a lot of our board members and our mentors are willing to, open up an extra room in their house for a day or two for people that maybe need some temporary housing before their lease starts. So that's an option that we're going to try to make more and more accessible the closer we get to the first day of service.
And I think that because next year core gets to pref their school, right? In a way that
They will. Yeah, I'm waiting for
Spoiler?
Caleb. I'm waiting for Caleb to make the final the wording on it.
Okay.
But yes, that's true.
Okay, because I remember looking and I placed myself in a location that I thought was going to be really, really accessible to the other schools, and there's 4 schools within 10 minutes. Hill is on the opposite side of the city, so I think that'll put this next upcoming core at an advantage when they kind of hopefully have a little bit more input on school locations for next year.
Yeah, and I can add to that here, and like I said, I'll make sure the formal messaging is like written later. But yeah, we're gonna still try to take your housing into account when possible, but rather than looking at like all of those different factors, people will get to preference their school and kind of rank which schools they want. We can't guarantee that you'll get, your first or even your second choice, but that way we have a better understanding of where you want to be. And because it is, some people, location is more important than grade level. Maybe they don't care if it's elementary or middle school, it's around the corner, but other people might really, really want to be in a high school, and they're willing to drive across town for that. So that'll give everyone a space to kind of tell us what's more important to you. So yeah. Yeah, the timeline. Any other tips? I know Emily wanted to throw out the SNAP thing.
Yeah, kind of, there are a lot of different counties, like Denver County, I've never heard of an issue coming up with like SNAP benefits, but I'm down in Douglas County and they have no clue what like city year is, and that it's AmeriCorps, so it was like a lot of months of like almost 6 or 7 months of me paying out of my own pocket for food and stuff, waiting for my snaps to go through. So, and I think it's a little different. You're in a different county too, right?
Yeah, I'm in a different county, but like once I applied for stamps, it worked out just fine. So.
Okay.
So just like try to get that in early if you know it's something that like a lot of cityers haven't been in that area before.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So like Denver will do part of that at registration, but if you're in a different county, we don't have the resources to connect you to people, and so you'll need to do a little more research if you're outside of Denver County.
Yeah.
Anything else on housing?
I would just say, when I got into the Facebook group, I waited for people to contact me and like reach out to me for housing, and I think that was a really big part of why it was so hard for me to find housing. Really take the opportunity to like reach out to people, because I feel like the people who reached out to people like found housing pretty quickly. Like they found a roommate pretty quickly. I had 2 different roommates bail on me because of their situations or finding other people that they wanted to live with and all of that. So definitely reach out to people and try to connect to people before you like I don't know.
No, that's good advice.
Yeah.
I think that's important.
Yeah.
Be proactive, and everybody's coming to City Year for the same reason. So you'll find, like-minded people. Like don't be afraid of everybody else in the core, right? I guess is that kind of.
We're nice. We don't bite.
Yeah. So, anything else?
So
Okay.
good luck.
Yeah, if you have questions, just comment on the video, and we'll make sure somebody from the group can answer you too. So, thanks.
Yay, thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Adios. Woo.